Good morning! Ain't this the kind of pretty face you want to see first thing in the morning? Well, it's kind of funky this morning, but it's a nice day. I figured I'd head out for a couple hours on the river. Thought I'd bring y'all along with me to see how everything goes. You ready to run the guns? Time for blast off. Let's go. I wasn't expecting this morning. Apparently we got a little bit more rain than I expected last night. We got a little bit of stain to the water. I mean, I'm talking, wow. I mean, it went from crystal clear to about 1.5 feet of visibility overnight. And I think that the lures that I have chosen for today might not work too well. I've got a buzz bait on here, but I'm fishing about 1 foot of water on these rocks. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think this is going to do it. You know, you kind of get that gut feeling. That's trains in the background. You get that gut feeling, man. I don't know. Well, what I was going to start off with this morning was I was going to do a Senko buzzbait, spinnerbait jig. Ain't got no rattle on the jig. I was actually going to fish what I call a deep water slough. And it runs about 10-12 foot deep on a channel. I've learned my lesson when it gets like this. Don't waste your time doing that. You got to give these bass a good day to adjust this kind of stuff. So I have brought 4 rods. I've knocked 2 of them out. So one of the baits I'm going to be throwing is my rubber jig, 1/2 ounce. I kind of wish I had a 3/8 with me. Like I said, I just brought a handful of baits. I didn't bring anything to change with, but that happens. But it's got a little bit of orange in it, green pumpkin, no rattle. But like I said, I'm going to stay within about 5 foot deep a day. I'm not going to. I got some brush piles I can fish and some rocks. You know, it's a river situation. I mean, you know, it is what it is. And then the other bait I've chosen is not particularly the color that I would use for this kind of water, but of course I pour and make my own spinner baits out of these banana heads, old style flat rubber skirt. You just can't beat the action of these things, man. It's silicone, can't touch them. But I'm not using a trailer. Do kind of wish I had a trailer today though, because it would bulk up, you know, the size of the spinner bait. And you know, I brought quite a few with me here to try, because you know, not quite a few to try different blade combinations. I'm trying this new blade. It's a Bear Valley blade. You know how when you've got Colorado and you got willow leaf and that Indiana is a good in-between size. Well, this is in between a Colorado and an Indiana, and it's stamped from a little bit lighter metal. And I just thought I would try it today and see if I like these or not, because they're not that expensive. They're very shiny, but they're not that expensive, and that's a pretty big thumper. Since I make my own spinner baits, I can kind of have my my rear ties to where I can just shift it sideways, change the blades, shift it back. I gotta worry about bending it out, nothing like that. But yeah, I might be going to Indiana, I think, for my spinner baits. You know, one thing about spinner baits is, you know, sometimes people have issues with, well, do I throw Indiana? Do I throw Willow? Do I throw Colorado? You know, it's all a vibration thing, but it also depends on how fast you want to reel that spinner bait. You know, a lot of people will tell you that Willow Leaf is a faster blade and it doesn't have a lot of lift. You know, they're full of it. Willow Leafs have a pretty good torque to them. Get in a kayak, throw a Willow Leaf blade, see if it don't pull you around like a trolling motor. But I'm trying to find one blade combination that I'm just happy with, and I'll be honest with you, I think Indiana is probably going to be what I choose for everything, because Indiana is just a good all-around type of blade. It's a good in-between blade, and you know, it's I have a feeling it's probably what I'm going to end up going to, is those. And what I'm fishing right now is just it's a shallow water area behind an island. It's just flat rock, and I'm about ready to start floating down current a little bit, because we have a little bit of current here today, and at least where I'm at right here, because where I'm at right here, there's a slight jetty around a bridge, which I've caught a lot of bass off of, but not the right watercolor for that. I've learned throughout the years. I'm better off I'm gonna try my spinner bug over here. I got some downed trees on the side of this island, and you don't want to fish this thing real fast. I'm just kind of slow rolling around these rocks with that big old blade thump. Throwing a 3/8. I'm trying to find a spinner bait that I'm happy with as far as weight wise, because like I said before, I don't like throwing heavy baits if I can avoid it, and I would much rather throw a 3/8. I've got some halves poured and painted up. I've got some 5/8 painted up, you know, ready to receive parts and all that kind of stuff. And the 3/8 is what I have done the most with as far as mixing up stuff. In case y'all wondering, it's a 6-foot Larry Nixon Team Daiwa model. I kind of like this for spinner baits at times, because I can two-hand a lot easier, and unlike what people tell you about spinner baits, sometimes I like to long cast these dudes, and I think just having something that I can just kind of throw into my hip sometimes helps a lot. just seen my buddy out here. I call him Splotchy. He's about 4 years old. He's a mallard that's almost jet black. He's got a green head, but he's got these white splotches all over his chest and around his neck. And the poor feller can't fly. He's never been able to fly more than a foot high off the water at any time. That's how I know which one he is. He looks like an egg beater going across the water. But he usually follows me or follows around with me and talks to me and stuff like that a lot of times. He's got his girlfriend with him right now, so I'm not going to bother with him. Hey, here's a little tackle tip for you. You ever seen Doug Hannon's little deal where he talked about taking a green monofilament and taking a blue magic marker and painting them things? It's not a bad idea. Unless you like a blue thumb, you might not want to try it. There's a hot tip for you. Alright, so it's time for a bit of a change. You know, I was throwing this chartreuse and white, the big, what they call a number 4. 3/8. So what I've got now, I ain't got nothing on that yet. I really wish I had a trailer for my spinnerbait, but I wasn't expecting this kind of conditions today, so. But that happens in fishing. My favorite color is chartreuse, white, and lime. If I had one color in a spinnerbait for the rest of my life, give me that right there. You know, bigger, what Bear Valley calls number 3, gold blade, and I got a nickel on the back of this one. Even though I've got, you know, I got a little better light out here. I've got probably maybe 2 foot of visibility. It doesn't sound that bad. And actually, I wouldn't mind fishing that kind of water all the time if bass were acclimated to it. But you know, just as of the other day when I saw this river, I mean, it's 5-6 foot of visibility. It was clear. I'm going to try these double Colorado, Bear Valley, whatever you want to call it. So far, it's not that bad of a blade, really. I mean, it seems to be balanced well. They use it on the West Coast. You get these things from Lure Parts online, but it's just, you know, this is the smallest blade they make. This is number 3, so that's a pretty good size blade on a 3/8. But if you remember back in the 90s, some of you guys remember back in the 90s when Strike King made the spin dance. It had a big like a number 4 Colorado in front of it on a 3/8. So with that teardrop, what they call a wide willow leaf blade, which you can get those, but you know, I'm trying to find a blade for my spinnerbaits, and I'm kind of a slow spinnerbait guy anyway. I don't burn it. I don't do crazy stuff with it. I'm really not a burner. I just kind of lay back and just kind of pump it, let it fall, pump it, let it fall. But now as far as a double blade, like what I got right here, it's shallow water. I'm not really going to chuck this thing out in, you know, 15-20 foot of water and slow roll it. That just ain't gonna happen. If I do something like that, I'm gonna throw a single blade and just pump it, let it fall. But I haven't seen nothing going on today, guys. I haven't seen any fish jumping. I ain't seen nothing. It's been dead out here. It's a beautiful morning. No wind. But that change of watercolor overnight, I've learned, especially on this river, it'll shut them down. It really will. I mean, I've caught a few before, but you know, you always try to prepare for any condition that you come across. You try your best to do what you got to do, and it is what it is. I mean, not much you can do about it. So just take what you got and slow down. Give them time. I mean, I'm seeing minnows jumping. There's activity, but I just don't see any fish. Nothing like watching the sunrise, having some coffee. Gotta love it. All right, time for a game plan change. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I originally set out to do, and that is hit that deep water slough. One thing I've learned about this river, especially with it being dammed off about a mile and a half from where I'm at right now, I've come down a good half mile, 3/4 mile from the creek. I've noticed that, a lot of times, it doesn't always happen like this, but a lot of times, the further down I go, a little bit clearer water I come across. But right now, I don't see it. I brought some lures out today to experiment with, like I said, with those spinnerbait blades. I've never tried them before. I got those. I wished I had a 3/8 jig. I really do. I actually wish I had a 3/8 black and blue jig with possibly a bright flipping blue color type chunk. But I've got some orange on this jig, so we'll have to wait and see. And all right, game plan change here. Drop down to 12-pound test so I can get a little bit of fall out of it. But I do have a little bit clearer water here. But there's a major change since the last time. It's been over a year since I've been down here. And apparently some of the the higher water situations we've had, semi-flooding, we had a couple times last year, apparently has piled a bunch of trash and a bunch of logs down here, more than usual. And I've got a 1/2 ounce jig, and I've had to go get it 4 or 5 times already. I don't play games like that. That's just way too much cover for a 1/2 ounce jig. It's just getting stuck. And my wrist is starting to hurt from cranking a spinnerbait all morning long so far. So I'm going to change tactics. I do have a green pumpkin Senko, which I have taken the very bottom of it with a pin and put a line and just a slight little dab of chartreuse on it, and some schmelly jelly. That's good stuff right there. It stinks. My wife hates it. It smells like roadkill. So, I'm in 12, 13 foot of water over just on this side of the bank over here. I got like 4 or 5 foot behind me. But I'm just going to take this Senko and just going to kind of sit back and relax and see if they'll hit that. Well, I got a little smalley. And I think, no, he didn't. Actually, it's pretty decent smalley. How about that? He just kind of loaded up on it. I got him in the bottom jaw, right in that bone. Golly. Buddy, he got it good. Golly. There we go. On that Senko. Not a bad little smalley, really. I ain't got to ride in the back of the truck now, do I? I almost smell like a skunk. Thank you, buddy. All right, that's in the slough. He was actually suspended. I probably had that Senko down about 5 or 6 feet. Never felt him hit. He just kind of, it's unusual for smallmouth, but that's exactly what he did. He just kind of loaded up on it. And there you go. So there's one in the slough right behind me on the shallow side of this thing. Look at that, he torqued my Senko. On the shallow side of this thing, I got a huge tree, brush piles, all that kind of stuff, and I call the area just the brush pile. But I'm going to hang out in the slough for a bit. And I got a little bit of current. It's not that bad, not even walking speed, but that was interesting on a Senko. Just kind of let it just do this little thing, just kind of drift down, twitch it once in a while like a jerk bait. And I was barely twitching it. But it's a relaxing way to fish. And that's pretty good. Let's see if we can't do that again. You know, I went ahead and welded this thing back up like I was showing y'all before on the videos. Keep a little torch with me because I just didn't feel like coloring up another Senko. But one of the things I did forget to do, I tied up the other night, I was telling y'all about, was taking a flat toothpick, going through the eye of that hook to hold that Senko on, which is what I should have done. I forgot all about it, but he had this Senko all the way up here, and I actually thought he threw it, but he didn't. But you know, why lose Senkos if you don't have to? You know, it only weighs 3/8 of it, well, about 7/16 of an ounce. But with all that salt, they're a little bit delicate, so just thought I'd throw that out there. That, you know, even I forget things too. That never happens. I got a pretty good largemouth here. Definitely tournament fish. Man, these largemouth in the rivers. Good golly, man. He's a good 2 pounds. Hold on there, Jesse James. Good golly. Woo! He got this old Daiwa Samurai just bent double. He ain't done yet. I think he got rid of my Senko. He swallowed my Senko. Come here, buddy. There you go. And he absolutely did. That's where this comes in handy. Look at that fat little dude. That's a big old boy right there. Actually, she might have already, that might be a female full of eggs. Look at that. About ready to spawn. Alrighty. Father, keep an eye on this one. Wham! Man, 2 on a Senko. I'm gonna rip that thing dude apart again. Yep. Time out. Now this is what I call the brush pile. It's about 50 yards worth of just brush all in this water. About 4 or 5 foot deep. That tree used to go all the way across the channel almost. But now it's been knocked back by flooding and everything else. Let's see what we can get with this. See, I'm on the other side of the channel now, so it's not so much current. I can kind of sit here and actually fish this a little bit better. When you can't really get onto a bass quick, they have a tendency to swallow that Senko. I don't like that. I think that fish will be fine. She went, put her in and gone. So, but yeah, Senko, I definitely like a calmer water situation. See what I mean about how I cup it? I can just... Like I said, I cast palm that reel. So as far as pistol grip, I got no problem grabbing that hand back here. Wham! Funky-fied up my Senko. So I have this one done the same way. Except I did not put any smelly jelly on here. Get that out of my kayak. I don't want that stuff smelling in here. But it's good stuff. Tell you what, it stays on lure. I don't have one particular favorite scent. I like them all. As long as they stay on the bait is all I care about. Let's get back in position again. I can actually look up the river right before the bend where the sun's shining on it a little bit, and I can see the siltation in the water. But it's really not here yet. But a couple hundred yards up, it is. That tells me we must have had some pretty good rain last night. Yeah, I got one in a brush pile. Just kind of loaded up on it. I think I'll just lift him on in here. Almost tournament fish. About 10-11 inches. Fair little booger though, isn't he? He just kind of loaded up on it. Thank you, buddy. Yeah. See, that's why I like to peg my Senkos. It just keeps from tearing them up, but sometimes you don't always remember everything. It seems like the bigger ones are in the deeper water, don't it? I don't know. That's just kind of what it seems like to me. Like I said, he was actually up. He wasn't even a foot deep. He was suspended up in a treetop. Then I'm going to work my way back. But I'm going to go. I don't, like I said before, I don't like fishing a Senko in any kind of a current because they have a bad tendency to swallow. Kayak fishing 101 right here. Take up your anchor before you start to paddle. Oh yeah, and by the way, my weight, it's a 10-pound exercise weight rubber coated, so it doesn't make a lot of noise. And about 2 foot up, put a little puff ball, because what that tells me when I start bringing the anchor up, once I see that puff ball, I know to stop, grab the rope, and pull the anchor in. Because one thing you don't want is you don't want a bunch of banging against your kayak, because that's noise, they can hear it. And guys, don't be an egg beater with a paddle. Keep it very quiet. But the way I'm going to position myself in this slough and this current is, like I said, I'm going to work my way back up. I've got about 100 yards right here that I can work. And I'm going to get right by the bank. And I'm just going to pull the Senko back towards me. And that'll be a whole lot better than trying to fish at a 45-degree angle, which is what I do a lot of times on the slough. But you know, usually I'm fishing jigs or worms or something like that. But with a weightless Senko, you know, it'll get down, but you got to give it time to get down, but you got to get it in front of you. So let's see what happens with that. Another Senko fish. Oh, it came off. Dang! Well, I got half a sport out of them anyway. Well, I'm gonna make 1 or 2 more stops on this slough. One thing I thought about this morning when I was leaving the house was thinking, you know what? I better bring that one spinning rod I got that handles the Senko really well, so I can skip up underneath these things. You know, when you're going up a slough and you're hugging the bank and you're literally trying to fish down current towards you, you got so many overhanging limbs and everything. It's just hard to fish. You know, if you can't skip it, man, it just makes it hard to fish. But I see a couple more places up here that I'm going to hit, and then I'm going to fish that main body again towards the mouth of that creek. And there's them big old trees right there. Can't see them because it's so silted. But the further up I'm getting, I've noticed the silt starting to move down the river. It's definitely a couple of 100 yards further down than when I was passing through it just a little while ago. I mean, we're talking a couple hours. Hour and a half or so. But there's a down tree right here that was not here last time I came through. And I want to try to camp out on this spot a little bit right here and see if I can get one to load up on a Senko. But like I said, if I'm fishing the current, I'd much rather have a Senko right in front of me, because smallmouths aren't that bad, but a largemouth has a bad tendency to swallow a Senko, and I don't like that. So, you know, I don't keep fish. I just fish for fun, and you know, they're wonderful creatures. I like to catch them, I like to outsmart them, but I don't want to hurt them. I mean, why would you want to do that? It burns me up when I see somebody keep a fish to eat or whatever, but you know, that's their prerogative. I'm not going to down somebody for doing it. I just wish they wouldn't do it. And I've always been like that since I was a little kid. I just fish for fun. Because basically, I've never liked fish. Squirrel fishing. There's one up here in a little bit shallower water. Just down from where I started this morning. Good smallmouth. Good, buddy. Yeah, good little smallmouth. That's what I get for not picking my Senko down there. Isn't she beautiful? All right. Thank you. Well, that's 4 for 5. You know, I lost that one, so I got half a sport out of them. But yeah, this is in about 5 foot of water, 4 to 5 foot of water. You just kind of load it up on it. I got sun behind my head, don't it? Kind of makes me want to go, ah! No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to hit one last little spot. And we'll mosey on back after that. Well, I've been out for a few hours, about 3 hours this morning. I'm good with that. Like I said, the watercolor is not exactly what I expected today, but hey, we made it work, didn't we? Saved by Senko. Yeah, that's a pretty good title. I might have to use that. Anywho, so every time I go out, I start coming back in. Of course, I got everything put up. I got, my rods, got all the lures off of them. All I have to do is go back to the house, put them back in the rack, put my bag in the closet, I'm good. But you should always analyze your trip every time you go out. Always analyze it. What would I have done different? What lures should I have brought with me? One thing I wish I had brought was my spinning rod, because when you're going up the channel, it's easier to just take that thing and skip a Senko underneath the channel. But how many of you guys, I'm going to get heartfelt here in a minute, but how many of you guys, after when you start coming back in, or even as you're fishing, do you realize to yourself, I don't need all this stuff I got with me. I don't need all these lures and everything else. How many of you guys, when you're tying up the night before, you look at all these lures you've got and you just start scratching your head? And you're kind of like, man, I don't know what to tie on, man. But how many of you guys have your favorites that you always tie on? Simplify your fishing, ring a bell? But I learn something every time I go out. And granted, today was an experiment day. I brought those spinner baits to try the blades and stuff out with, and I'm still debating. It's either going to be those blades or just Indianas. And by Indiana, I mean even a double Indiana. Double Indiana is pretty awesome spinnerbait, actually. There's a lot of flash there. But I think these blades did pretty good. So it's just just a matter of playing around with them and figuring out what you like best. And I like a 3/8 spinnerbait, something that doesn't weigh me down to cast, although my wrist did hurt a little bit today, but haven't been out in a year, so a little rusty, but the Senko paid off, and I'm just hoping that one bass is going to be okay. She did swallow the hook, but I got it out with very, very minimal damage. One thing that I've been meaning to carry with me that I keep forgetting to carry is a can of Sprite. Now, I know that sounds weird. I don't drink soft drinks. But when you have a bass that swallows a hook like that and you get it out and she bleeds a little, you take a can of Sprite, you pour that Sprite where it's bleeding, and it stops instantly. What it does is it coagulates the vessels and closes them up. It's the carbonation, I guess. And Sprite just has the least amount of chemicals in it that people drink. Huh, imagine that. That's why I don't drink sodas. But that's all I got for today, guys. I'm glad you came along with me. I know this might be a little bit longer than next long video, but I'm going to try to cut this thing down as short as I can. I just kind of wanted to see you have you guys come along with me so you can kind of see how I figure things out. And again, like I said, say By Senko, and fishing it weightless, 12 foot of water, just kind of drifting it over all the logs and the trash that's down there. Couldn't fish a jig, she kept staying hung up in the thing. So there's a mallard full of babies right there. She's a fat one. She's eyeballing me too when I get too close. Anyway, that's all I got today, guys. I'm glad you were able to come along with me and figure things out, and fishing shallow, fishing deep, fishing fresh, dirty water, which I don't like to do. But bass fishing is, you got to deal with the situations you get. So that's just the way it is. So until next time, guys, may the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name. And as always, fish on.